Now, this week's topics, ringgit gains as US inflation cools. More like the correct term would be the US dollar has weakened this week, translating to strength in the ringgit. Yeah, we will take a look at a few charts after this. Next up, foreign investors, they resumed their net buying in the Bursa market, the Malaysian stock market. Second consecutive week of net buying from them. We will then compare whether foreign investors they've remained as net buyers or net sellers on a year-to-date basis versus local institutions. Finally, Grab's new banking app offering 3.0% per annum returns. Is this the brand new competitor that will overtake Touch and Go, Go Plus, or Rise or not? Yeah, we'll talk about more details and that in our weekly analysis, as usual, not financial or legal advice. Yeah, without further ado, let's dive right into the first topic of the night. This is the USD MYR pair, and it is pretty self-explanatory. This week, we are seeing quite a bit of weakness over here. In particular, the dollar has weakened. But last week, the dollar has strengthened. Well, we talked about that also. Why? Because Jerome Powell said something during a meeting. He said that, hey, the Federal Reserve may need to keep interest rates higher for longer. It's not a linear path to bring inflation down to our target goal of 2.0%, yada yada, and the dollar retraced upward. But this week, what we are seeing is quite the reverse. In fact, the USD MYR pair weakened to 4.6566 on Tuesday. And the MIDF, they are still steadfast on the prediction of the ringgit ending the year at 4.30 versus the US dollar. Now, I am not saying that this is a pipe dream. Obviously, we as Malaysians, we want to hope for the best, but at the same time, we must prepare for the worst as well, right? Okay. This type of movement has clearly occurred in the past before. If you take a look at this downward movement over here in the USD MYR pair, that is like in November last year, also within the same time frame, in less than a quarter, the ringgit strengthened by 10 to 12% against the US dollar. But right now, we are seeing almost a similar pattern, but it's also a bit different because if we are halfway through the month, we should be somewhere here right now already. Okay, so not saying that MIDF's prediction is unlikely to come true, but I just do hope for the best. And I would be happy if the ringgit ends the year at 4.5 to 4.6. Okay. So as to why the ringgit has shown quite considerable strength in the past few days or perhaps weeks, well, that's because of the dollar weakening. I can see within the same time frame as well on Tuesday, the single largest decline in a day for the dollar index. Now, the dollar index is a measure of the dollar strength versus 6 other major currencies such as the euro, Japanese yen, and Chinese yuan. So largest single day decline over here. Why is that the case? Well, on Tuesday, the US released their most recent inflation data and it slowed, it moderated more than expected. Okay, boosting hopes that the Federal Reserve may just be done with interest rate hikes. So some details over here. The US Consumer Price Index, again, released on Tuesday, the actual figure is 3.2%. Our forecasts was 3.3%, so obviously below expectations, good news. And previous month was 3.7%. So this is the first part of the good news already. To add on to that, right, the core consumer price index, which if we take out volatile items like food and fuel, that's what the core CPI measures, also moderated below expectations. So these two alone, right, already boost a lot of hopes that the Federal Reserve, done with interest rate hikes, consequently led to the largest single day decline in the dollar index and also a similar weakness reflected in the USD MYR pair. So now let's take a look at probabilities, right? What is the probability of the Federal Reserve considering a rate hike during their final meeting for the end of the year, 13th of December, where we can see over here, 99.7% of investors, they now believe that the Federal Reserve will keep interest rates steady during their meeting in December. Mind you, previously, before this very encouraging CPI data was released, the probabilities were still skewed towards a pause, but we have a small part of investors still believing that the Federal Reserve may consider interest rate hikes. And that, with this week's data, it basically just sealed the deal. Okay, so Federal Reserve most likely to pause. And in fact, analysts, economists, they're expecting the Federal Reserve possibly to cut interest rates by maybe as early as May or June next year, which is why we are starting to see the ringgit strengthen or perhaps the US dollar to weaken. And not only the US dollar or the ringgit, right? If you look at markets in general, which I did not include in this presentation today, this week US markets have recovered quite significantly, carrying the Malaysian market with it as well. Okay, so now speaking of the Malaysian market, quite a bit of good news over here. The net foreign fund flows, let's take a look at it. Foreign investors, they have remained as net buyers for the second consecutive week. Now, this is the week ending 10th November. The total buy volume of 676.7 million ringgit. Now, this is 4 times the amount purchased in the previous week. But year to date, foreign investors, they are still net sellers. They have sold 3.29 billion ringgit of equities. Compared to local institutions, right? Yeah, they are the ones that are keeping the market afloat. They net bought 4.24 billion ringgit. So, if we take a look at the performance of the FBM KLCI, the Malaysian market, in comparison to other Asian indices, we are the seventh best place or the sixth worst place, glass half full, glass half empty, depending on how you want to see things. But previously, we were here. Okay, we were the second worst performing market, but thanks to the recent entry from foreign investors, they continue to net buy into the local equity market. Yeah, our Malaysian market has recovered quite significantly lah. So hopefully by the end of the year, we overtake Indonesia or somewhere or stay somewhere here, just negative 0.5 to 1%. Right? Now, as for the stocks that foreign investors showed interest for the week ending 10th November, it's Maybank, and they bought 92.3 million ringgit of that. CMEGroup, 56.7 million. MISC comes in at the third place, 48.3 million. And there are some patterns that you can observe over here. I think I've talked about this multiple times also. Whenever foreign investors, they tend to, when they heavily acquire a single stock, right, or a few stocks over here, local institutions, they must be a seller. Okay, so over here, when you see local institutions, they've been offloading quite a lot of Maybank shares also. But the important thing is what is the net buy volume. Okay, so that is what translates to good news into the Malaysian market. Meanwhile, the reverse can be also applied. If you take a look at foreign investors dumping Nestle equities this week itself, sorry, for the week ending 10th November, negative 53.3 million. Local institutions, they were net buyers. In fact, they acquired 50.9 million. Okay, so that's a bit about the stock movements now. I talked about Maybank just now. Let's dive deeper into the largest and most valuable company in Malaysia. So Maybank market cap 110 billion ringgit. It's not a small amount. It's actually enormous. Eh? And ASB is the single largest shareholder of Maybank. They hold 3.82 billion shares or a 31.67% stake as of June. So ASB, I'm sure the majority of Bumiputras are investing in it. They just felt that you guys should know one of the largest holdings is in Maybank. Okay, the second place of Maybank's largest shareholder is EPF. They hold 1.456 billion shares or a stake of 12.08%. And in fact, if you take a look at this top 10 list itself, right, majority of the firms that occupy this top 10 list is ASNB unit trust funds. Okay, so ASM2, ASM, ASM3, ASB2, yeah, all of this have a significant holding in Maybank. Now, speaking of ASB, right, ASB's largest equity holding, no surprises over here, is in Maybank. Yeah, they hold 21.32% out of their equity holdings. Okay, so I think majority of the people still think that ASB holds a lot of fixed income equities like money market funds, but that's actually wrong. If today you go Google search ASB's annual report, right, almost 80% of the money that you put into ASB is allocated into Malaysian equities. Okay, and 21.32% of that 80% itself goes into Maybank. So if you ever wondered why ASB has been able to pay out very steady dividends, 4 to 6% every year, right? Yeah, a large part of it is coming from Maybank because Maybank themselves, they pay 6 to 7% dividend every year. Okay, so ASB next place, Sime Darby Plantation Berhad, 9.24%, over 2 times lesser compared to the largest holding of Maybank, Sime Darby Berhad, 3.83%. Okay, so that's a bit about the ASB holdings. Let's move on over to the new cash app that is in town that recently is open for Malaysian users. Still in the beta phase, by the way. It's Grab's GXBank. Okay? Allows users to earn up to 3.0% per annum. Interest is paid out daily. And your funds are also protected by PIDM up to 250,000 ringgit. So for now, like I mentioned just now, it's still in beta phase for 20,000 selected Malaysian users. If you're lucky, you can download the app today, go and register, see whether you can join the wait list or not. They are offering a 20 ringgit reward for your first deposit of 100 ringgit. Yeah, so that's an instant 20% return on your investment. Okay, but again, there's still a lot of features to be added. But for now, I feel that this cash app is kind of pointless because first of all, it's not Sharia compliant. Okay, if it is, I do not know because I've searched the web and I did not manage to search any Sharia compliancy towards GXBank. Okay, Rise and Touch and Go Plus, that one is definitely Sharia compliant. PIDM protected, yes. Rise is also PIDM protected. Touch and Go Plus is not. The returns are also the lowest, GXBank. Yeah, Rise is the highest, 5.0%, but it expires on the 31st of December. The payout for GXBank is daily, similar to Touch and Go also, but for Rise it's monthly. So for some of you guys who are using Rise, I think you guys also know about this. The payout occurs at the start or perhaps the end of each month, right? Now these three apps, they are pretty similar. Why? Because they have instant flexibility in that you can deposit and withdraw your funds using Do It Now instantly. It's just that the GX Bank doesn't give you the capability to make payments through QR code. Okay, because that one they say that it's a feature they'll be adding soon. Okay. So if any of you are currently using GXBank or have registered for it, do let me know. I tried to register 2 to 3 days ago and they're still trying to approve me. So when they approve me, I will provide a more detailed review for you guys. Okay. So that brings me to the end of my hopefully short and sweet presentation tonight. Just a quick shout out to all our supporters, our patron members. Really thank you all so much for your support. Andrew, Wendy, Edward, Alex, CC is Morpheus, Urshad, Caveman, Balls, Calvin, Kai, Tommy, Jing Kang, Adrian, JS, Wenyan, Dean, Duhan, Ken, Farid, Alan, Jackson, Raizan, Jeremy, Hudson, Dewey, Jeffrey, and Lawrence, as well as all of our learner members. And I'll see you guys in the next session. All right, guys. Good night. Stay safe. Bye bye.